How can we be the very best when there's so much nonsense to deal with? Name's Dave with WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst gimmicks Pokemon games ever used. For this list, we'll be looking at the different mechanics and features employed across the Pokemon franchise that felt cheap, unnecessary, superficial, and otherwise disappointing. Number 10. Pokeball Plus, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. While there are many things we loved about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the games were far from perfect. One of the oddest parts of the experience wasn't technically a mechanic, but an overpriced peripheral. Shortly before the game's launch in November 2018, Nintendo introduced the Pokeball Plus, a one-handed motion controller designed to make players feel like they were actually throwing a real Pokeball, until the 3-hour battery went out. Oh, and it can't be played with any other game since it only has one button. But you could also store Pokemon inside and level them up as you walk around the real world. Oh, and every unit contains a Mew. All of this could be yours for the low price of $50! Yikes! You can afford that after buying a $60 game, right? Number 9. Pokemon GO Plus, Pokemon Go. Anyone remember the Pokemon GO Plus? This little wristwatch would notify users of nearby Pokemon and attempt to catch them without having to boot up their phone. It could also collect items from Pokestops with the click of a button, or catch Pokemon with a single Pokeball throw, a feature that was very unreliable since Pokemon fled after one throw. As if that wasn't bad enough, the peripheral was overpriced. The only good feature it had was that it allowed players to track their steps without keeping the game open. But now the Adventure Sync update has rendered that feature obsolete. Number 8. A racing game with one Pokemon, Pokemon Dash. Every good racing game knows that one way to appeal to an audience is to include options, a multitude of tracks, a plethora of vehicles, and of course, multiple playable characters. The ill-fated Pokemon Dash completely forgot about this and restricted players to only play as Pikachu. As much as we love the cute little critter, this just doesn't make sense, especially since Pikachu isn't the only character featured in the game. Why couldn't we play as Meowth or Jigglypuff, or any other Pokemon prominently featured on the front cover? This, coupled with the lazy stylus gimmick and generic environments, made Pokemon Dash one of the more disappointing games you can own on the Nintendo DS. Number 7. Battle Royales, Pokemon Rumble. Aside from adventuring and beating up wild Pokemon, Battle Royales were the most tedious part of the Rumble series. For starters, you had to make sure your Pokemon was at a certain level, so if you didn't meet your requirement, be prepared for a grind. To make matters worse, some Battle Royales required you to use specific Pokemon. So, if you've been leveling up the same couple of Pokemon to bypass the level requirements, you had even more grinding to do. This grind would have been more bearable if the game had a deeper combat system, but the series kept it pretty basic to being a beat 'em up. Alas, the Battle Royales make the entire experience rather mind-numbing. Number 6. Water HMs, Gen 2 and Gen 3 Pokemon. For a long time, water-based HMs were a major pain in the butt. On its own surface fine, but when it came to Gen 2 and Gen 3 respectively, players had to juggle between 4 different HMs, just to navigate water: Surf, Dive, Whirlpool, and Waterfall. And in Gen 3, they also had to include Dive. Yeah, it got really out of hand. What was worse is if you teach a HM to a Pokemon, that move can never be replaced. So when you have multiple HMs required to fully traverse lakes, rivers, and seas, you basically have to sacrifice a Pokemon's useful moveset just to get across the area. And that's not even counting the land-based HMs. Thankfully, the mechanic has been adjusted in more recent titles to make HMs no longer an issue. but in the early days, I would have given this feature a 7.8. Number 5. Z Moves, Pokemon Sun and Moon. We'll give Nintendo the benefit of the doubt. Z-moves sound like an awesome idea. Why not include a feature that can make our Pokemon look more badass and deliver a super-powered attack? Well, be careful what you wish for. Z-moves ended up being more of an annoyance in Sun and Moon than anything else. They quickly lost their luster after a few uses, and there was no edge to disable them when playing online. So, if your opponent was some kind of troll or cinephile, you had to sit through and watch the entire thing! Overall, it was pretty much a better idea on paper than in application. And don't get us started on that ridiculous Z-Ring playset. Number 4. Motion Controls, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee had us excited for 2 reasons. First, it was a new Pokemon for the Switch, and second, it was a remake of the ever-popular Pokemon Yellow. Unfortunately, as soon as it was revealed that the game required Pokeballs to be thrown, our hearts sank. Getting excellent throws and curved throws got a lot harder. Nintendo would later clarify that it was possible to catch Pokemon by aiming with the left Joy-Con, but there was little satisfaction in doing so by comparison. This shtick simply soiled what was otherwise a solid Pokemon experience. Number 3. Rumble U NFC Toys, Pokemon Rumble U. In the early 2010s, a new aspect of the gaming industry was booming. Skylanders and Disney Infinity were thriving off the new Toys to Life market, and Nintendo wanted a slice of the pie. Before Amiibos, Nintendo used Pokemon Rumble U to launch a small line of NFC fighters. The resemblance to the game's polygonal models made the figures look somewhat unimpressive, and they didn't do much outside of granting the players access to Pokemon. Seeing how no more than 18 standard figures were launched, one can safely assume Nintendo didn't see a significant return in investment. Number 2. Talking to Pikachu. Hey you, Pikachu.
I can't take it anymore.
Reel it in.
He talks to Pikachu, Pikachu listens.
Pikachu, come here.
I thought I was man's best friend.
Come on, who wouldn't jump on board with a game that lets you talk to Pikachu? Don't lie. Any kid would jump on that opportunity. And that's what makes Hey You Pikachu so painful to think back on. For the few of us who dared to play this, we quickly discovered a gameplay experience that simply did not work. The game would often fail to recognize our commands, and even when it did, there was a chance that Pikachu simply wouldn't listen. It's little wonder as to why so many people resorted to cursing Pikachu and eventually rage quit.
Meanwhile, I'm getting fat. I walk myself. Where's the love?
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Watch TV with Pikachu, Pokemon Channel. Pokemon Channel has gone down as the most infamous game in the franchise's history. But the thing is, you can't even call it a game. For those unfamiliar with this particular GameCube title, the whole gimmick is that you sit down and watch TV with Pikachu. That's it! You watch TV. You could watch old episodes from the anime, endure some painful skits and gags, rinse and repeat. It's one thing to sell us an overpriced peripheral or incorporate an annoying mechanic, but charging players $50 to watch TV? We'd soon report you to Officer Jenny.
In the mood for more awesome gaming content? Be sure to check out this video here on Mojo Plays, and don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.